Good morning, grade 5 students. Mr. Waterman here with today's mathematics lesson. Today is Monday, August 31st, 2020. I just wanted to say welcome back to school. I hope everyone is doing safe and well and that you and your families had an enjoyable summer vacation. Now, it's been several weeks since we last had math class. So we are just going to pick up where we left off, and we are starting a new unit. And you can see here from the title on my notebook page, that's going to be adding fractions with different denominators. That is today's lesson topic, okay? So let's get going. Here's our textbook that I'm using, and we are now on page 260. I will scan this page and I will upload it later on, okay? But for now, I just would like you to pay attention to what I am reading, okay? So this is adding fractions with unlike denominators, and we have two key vocabulary words we're going to look at. One is equivalent fractions, which we've already done, and the next term is called least common denominator. So you remember when we studied least common multiple, I'm going to teach you about LCD today, least common denominator, okay? Our objective here, we're going to add fractions with unlike denominators, okay? Now, let's learn about it. Look at the example question. Please read the question along with me. It says, about 1/5 of the bones in your body are in your hands, and 1/4 of your bones are in your feet. What fraction of the bones in your body are in your hands and feet? So we're going to write the question out. Add 1/5 plus 1/4 equals n. Okay, so now let's look at step 1. To add the fractions, you need to find a common denominator. It says use the product of the denominators to write equivalent fractions with like denominators, okay? So just looking here, our denominators, remember, are the bottom numbers of the fractions, right? So our denominators here are 5 and 4. We need to find an equivalent fraction. So just using very quick and simple math, we know that 20 is a common denominator for both 5 and 4. How do we know? Well, 5 times 4 equals 20, or 4 times 5 is 20. That gives us our common denominator. Now, when we write it, here's the example here. We're going to look at 1/5. So we need to multiply the numerator, which is 1 times 4, and we need to multiply the denominator, 5 times 4. 1 times 4 is 4. 5 times 4 is 20. That gives us 4 over 20, okay? We do the same for 1/4. We multiply the 1 times 5, that gives us 5, and we multiply 4 times 5, that gives us 20, okay? So now we need to do step 2, rewrite the problem and then add. 1/5 plus 1/4 equals 4 over 20 plus 5 over 20. And that gives us 9 over 20, okay? Our solution or our answer, it says about 9/20 of the bones in your body are in your hands and feet. Now, 9/20 is already simplified. That means we cannot make it any smaller, okay? Now, let's look at the next part. It says, to add fractions, find the least common denominator. That's what we're getting into today. It says, find 7/8 plus 5/12, okay? So step 1, find the least common multiple, the LCM of the denominators. So our denominators, again, are 8 and 12. Here we are here. The least common multiples of 8 are 8, 16, 24, 32. The least common multiples of 12 are 12, 24, 36. 24 is our smallest number here. So our least common denominator for 8 and 12 is 24. The LCD of the fractions is 24. Then we move along to step 2. It says use the LCD to find equivalent fractions. Okay, so we're going to look at 7/8 first. We multiply the numerator, 7, times 3, that gives us 21. We multiply the denominator, which is 8. 8 times 3, that gives us 24. So the equivalent fraction here for 7/8 is 21 over 24. Okay, now we do the same for 5/12. Okay, we multiply the numerator times 2. 5 times 2 gives us 10. Multiply the denominator times 2. 12 times 2 equals 24. The equivalent fraction for 5/12 is 10 over 24. Now for step 3, we need to add the fractions. Write the sum or the answer in simplest form. 21 over 24 plus 10 over 24, that gives us 31 over 24. Now that's an improper fraction, so we need to change that, right? So 31 over 24 equals 1 and 7 over 24 is our answer. Okay? Now I know that might seem like a lot, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a few examples with you. So let's look at page number 261. We're going to do a few examples together, okay? That's why I have my notebook here. I'm going to grab my notebook, and I'm going to put it right here. And we're going to look at the directions for the first part, okay? It says add. Write each sum in simplest form. So let's look at number 1. You can read along with me, and you can do the examples along with me. 1/6 plus 1/3. Okay? So I'm going to set my book there. Put it off to the side. And now I'm going to write it out in my notebook. Okay? Do it here so you can see it. 1/6 plus 1/3. Okay? So now remember, my first step, what I need to do is I need to find the least common denominators, right? For 6 and 3. Now this is going to be easy. I always do small number first, or the small denominator first. That's 3 and then 6, okay? So what are my least common multiples for 3? I'm going to do the first 4. 3, 6, 9, 12. There we go. I'm going to do the first 4 for 6 as well. 6, 12, 18, 24. Okay? Very easy. My least common denominator is going to be 6. Okay? So now, my next step is I'm going to multiply again. So I'm going to do 1/6 first. So I need to have 6 as the denominator, so this is easy. I just multiply by 1. 1 times 1 equals 1. 6 times 1 equals 6. So that's done. Now I need to do the same for 1/3. Remember, my denominator needs to be 6. So now I'm going to multiply by 2. 1 times 2 equals 2. 3 times 2 equals 6. Okay? Now I'm going to add the fractions together. 1, 6 plus 2, 6. That's going to give me 3, 6. Okay? As my answer. But remember, you can always simplify fractions whenever you can. So I can make 3, 6 smaller, right? So if I simplify 3, 6, that's going to become 1/2. And that is my answer. 1, 6 plus 1/3. When you do all the work, you get 1/2. Okay? Let's look at another example together. I'm going to bring my book back so we can look at number 2. So we have 2/3 plus 5/6. Okay, take my textbook away to give me some more space here, and I'm going to write a question out in my notebook. All right, so I'm going to skip a few lines here, and I'm going to do 2/3 plus 5/6. Okay, let's find the least common multiples again for 3 and 6, just like we did last time. I'm going to do 3, 6, 9, and 12. I always like to find the first 4, or 5 if you want. 6, 12, 18, 24. Okay, I already know it's going to be 6 from the last example that we did. Now I multiply again. So I'm going to do 2/3. And I need that denominator to be 6, right? The LCD. So I'm going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. And 3 times 2 is 6. So that gives me 4/6. Now I'm going to do the same for 5/6. 5/6, right? This is easy. I'm just going to multiply them by 1. 5 times 1 is 5. 6 times 1 is 6. That gives me 5/6, right? So now I need to add them together like I did before. So 4, 6 plus 5, 6. Now that gives me 9/6. Uh-oh. Remember what kind of fraction this is? We cannot leave that like that. That is called an improper fraction, right? So what do we do with improper fractions? We need to go on ahead and change them into a mixed number, right? So this is easy. That gives me 1 is my whole number. And how many do you have left over? You have 3. 1 and 3, 6. Now, you could also simplify mixed numbers, right? So just like we did before, see how easy this is? I love these examples. I'm going to keep 1 the same. And now we need to simplify 3, 6, which we already know is going to be 1/2. So 2/3 plus 5/6, that will give us 1 and 1/2. Okay? Now, I'm going to take that away. What I'm going to do with page 261, I'm going to scan this page, and you can have this as extra practice. You can do it in your own notebook if you have one, or you can do it on just regular notebook paper. I will scan the page, and you can do numbers 1 to 32, or sorry, 1 to 22 for some extra practice, okay? 1 to 22, just focus on that. All right, I will scan that for you. And then I'm going to close my textbook. And here is your homework book. You're going to open up. So by now, I'm just going to check all of these off because we have finished all of these already, right? So now you're going to look at add fractions with unlike denominators. That's going to take you to page number 65. We're going to check that off. That's the lesson we're doing today. Here's the page you're going to do in your homework book, okay? So, just in case you forget, let's look at the example at the top. It says, add 4/5 plus 2/3. Step 1, use the LCD to find equivalent fractions, remember? Okay, so 4/5 plus 2/3. 4/5, that's going to give us an LCD of 15, right? Remember, for 5 and 3? So, 4/5 equals 12/15. 4 times 3 gives you 12. 5 times 3, that gives you 15, right? We do the same on the bottom for 2/3. We need our denominator to be 15. So, 2 times 5, that gives me 10. 3 times 5 gives me 15. So 2/3 is equivalent to 10/15. Now we add the fractions together, right? 12/15 plus 10/15. That gives me 22/15. Now remember, what kind of fraction is that? Can we leave that like that? No, we cannot. 22/15. That is an improper fraction, okay? So please remember to simplify. 22/15 is going to give us a whole number of 1, and then we have 7 left. 1 and 7/15. Can we simplify 1 and 7/15? No, we cannot. So that is going to stay the absolute same. Okay? Now, down here for your homework, it says add. Write each sum in simplest form. You have 12 here to do. Please show your work. And then down here, you have a problem-solving question. I'm going to read the question to you. Please follow along. A chef is someone who cooks. A chef used 3/4 cup of water and 1/2 cup of milk in a recipe. How many cups of water and milk did she use altogether? Now, do you see this space here where it says to show your work? That is where I want you all to show your work, okay? For your homework page, you have 13 of these to do. Please show your work. And remember to do the extra practice that I showed you in your textbook as well. These will all be scanned just in case for some reason you may be away and you don't have your math homework book. I will scan the page just in case. Please remember, if you have any questions about today's lesson, you can email me at my email address, which is on the school's Weebly page. You'll all have my Weebly address as well. You can find my email address there. Please be safe and stay well, and remember to do as many of these as you can as practice, because when you come back to school, you will have a test, probably midterm or mid-semester, and then again at the end of the term. Take care, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.